Here is an old school model of an old school hot rod. And here is a 3D printed model of a Tesla crate engine. This is going to go in this. And the Texan dragster is going to become ET. The engine came from Cults 3D. I'll stick a link below. And to all of the other 3D printed stuff that I'm going to be using to update and modify this Model T. Okay, there were some minor fitment issues, but that's down to me putting it together quickly without really cleaning it up. And I think that's on upside down, but it's custom. The next job is fitting this in this. Yes, this is significantly bigger than the engine it's replacing, but if I take into account that it's effectively the gearbox as well, it's still a bit hefty, so I think I may end up having to do a bit of fiddling around at the front, but I think we can make this work. I am going to take this engine out and probably put it into a different one, so I can't just butcher it. I've got to be a little bit careful about how this comes out. And I think very gentle sawing is required. That worked better than planned. I may hold on to these as reference points for the engine mounting. Now, let's see. You know what? That worked quite well. That may not be a really good angle for the drive shaft though, we'll have to see. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break and build this engine, and we'll come back when that's done. There you go. That is the motor that's not going into the Model T. And I'm sure there are some people screaming sacrilege at me now. It's quite a nice little thing once it goes together. Not a lot of locating pins to get everything lined up properly, and some mould lines and bits and pieces, but I think I'll paint it up, and I may put it in one of the other old 32nd scale rods that I discovered same time as I found the Texan. However, that goes to one side. That is the past. This is the future. Test fitting time, and I've moved it forward a bit, and I've taken out the two supports that were there. I'll put something else in later. And this little notch here lines up with that, and definitely the front clip's not going to go on as is. That's going to need some changing, and I've got to now find the front suspension and work out whether that will go on as is as well. I think that this may end up getting cut, most of this cut out, and possibly even this opened up so that this little lip thing here can stick through it. Taking a closer look at it, the chassis is not square. There's just a little bit of a twist in it. Hopefully, leaving it between these for a while will straighten it a little. These are quite cool wheels, but I think I'm going to put something else on. I've found some really cool looking ones that I can 3D print. So they're not going on, and neither is the back axle. I've got a 3D print that I've got to download that will do that job as well. So the entire drivetrain is being replaced by 3D printed bits. Just about everything else is from the original kit. Test fitting everything, and the interior goes in without the transmission tunnel fouling on the Tesla motor. So that's a win. I don't have to cut the interior up, which is cool because it looks quite nice. Some more 3D printed parts for the project. I've got quick change rear end and 2 axles. And that's a little cover for the back of this. And quite fancy wheels and brake blocks and tyres. There are also these, which are the 3-pronged spinners for the wheels, but After reducing them down from 24th to 32nd, the actual little prongs were so fine that they snapped if I'd so much as waved at them, so they're not going on. The job for today is to clean up these, put the axle together, possibly make the wheels and brakes and tyres, and then work out how to put it all onto the chassis, which still isn't perfectly straight, but I'll fix it over time. It'll come together. I got carried away and put a whole load of stuff together off camera. Front axle and traction bars are in. Rear spring is in. Annoyingly, one of the traction bars for the back has broken, so I may have to bodge together some sort of alternative for that. Axle is together and will go in there. Rear wheel, I've had to do a little bit of opening up on the rear drum so it'll actually fit over the end of the axle, and then it fits onto there. Front wheels, I didn't think far enough ahead, didn't take these off, so I can't put the front drum brakes on. Those. Can't put the front drums on, so the front wheel is just gonna sit on there. I'm just gonna have to be very, very careful to make sure it squares up and is centered on the axle. And this goes in here once everything's had a chance to properly set, and then I can work out the length of the prop shaft between the two of them, and that'll help get everything squared up, which will then help me put together replacements for the ladder bar. Coming together slowly but surely. I'm going to put this aside and do a little bit of work on the body. Tesla motor in place. It's going to help me line up the rear axle and sort all of the rest of the drivetrain out. It's not perfect. I'm going to get my excuses in here. I should have got them in earlier. I'm aiming for interesting, not perfect. And let's face it, Tesla-powered Model T. That's fairly interesting. And the chassis has come together. I had to stick my own little made-up 4-bar linkage on, and trust me, you don't want me anywhere near your car's suspension. I don't think this would work at all. The gap between this link and this chassis is almost non-existent. But it's a show car, so it really does not matter. The body has been put together, cleaned it up, did a test fitting, and now these need to go and get primed. After basing the body in black, I did some lightning effects down the side. Most hot rods will get flames, but obviously this is electric powered, so yeah, guess this. It was a multi-part thing with purple, blue and white built up to get the final spark. With the body painted and finished, everything came together really quickly. So now I have a show rod powered by a Tesla motor. ET. All I need now is to persuade eBay Motors to fund me to build a full-size version.